Lynn, would you update us on what's going on with Mill Creek Park presently?
Sure. Presently, I am going to update the video that you saw previously where I spoke about a letter being written by the public library. This is that letter. Technically, it's a DVD that has gone missing of our records. So the DVD contains a lot of information. The CD does not contain as much information. So it has all the Mill Creek Park well records on it from when the very first one was drilled, where the Metro Parks farm exists now, in 1969, through all the Everflow Eastern and Ohio Valley Energy wells that I spoke about previously that are on the periphery of the park, you know, at the end of residential backyards, and then drilling under Mill Creek Park into the Clinton sandstone to produce natural gas. So many people are confused, and I want to clarify what we're talking about here. It isn't that these wells are producing natural gas that we have any type of gripe with, that the park has been getting royalties from these wells. We have a gripe with only in the respect that every annual report until I think 2013, you don't see a line item for oil and gas royalties. So we want clarification on that. My lawyer asked, was there a miscellaneous line item? I said, yes, there was. We need people to look at all the checks that we have and see each year how much did that add up to, and was this recorded faithfully. But that is not even the problem that we're talking about that we have to address now, which is the most important. It's the danger that has occurred to the park because of the deep drilling rights below the Queenston Formation on every one of these shallow natural gas wells was sold to Chesapeake of Oklahoma. And that was between June 2011 and October 2011. So I just wanted to clarify that. That is the problem. And the reason it's a problem is there's a large swath of land that is big enough to put a frac pad on right next to the park, and it's called Idora Park. It's an abandoned area that is big enough for a frac pad. So by virtue of Chesapeake unitizing and pooling all of these leases, they have control over them and have assigned them 25% undivided to Total E&P, whose home office is France, and we're yet to find out what the latest lease activity has been. We, the people who support Mill Creek Park as our community park, have the right to demand that our park is protected. And we don't have any assurance from any executive director that has been in place since this happened. Clark Johnson was in place when this happened, Dennis Miller, and now Aaron Young. No one has ever said, oh, we're going to protect the park. Oh, we're going to allocate this much money to a legal fund to protect the park. For instance, Meander has two law firms who are fighting against Halcon because they proposed to drill directly under our reservoir, our drinking water source. So they've got two law firms engaged. Maybe our water bills are paying these two law firms, I don't know. But we are the taxpayers that support Mill Creek Park, and we have no assurance that they're doing anything to safeguard the park, because the actual drilling would be alongside the park. The park gets royalties from these wells. They can refuse to sign to get royalties and never get royalties again, but they also have to protect the park by taking some type of legal action, because this type of industrial activity with 24/7 air pollution and water being sucked out of where to frack? Cohasset and Newport and Glacier? That was our question to the executive director, Clark Johnson. You know, where are you going to get the water to frack these wells? Are they going to take it from the lakes? So there's a lot of danger posed by the deep drilling rights of these little slant drilled wells being owned by fracking companies.
And once that water is used, it's contaminated forever, correct?
Forever, yes, because by virtue of the shale being radioactive and by virtue of all the chemicals that they use to frack, when that water comes back up, it's called produced water. And it's radioactive. It has radium-226, radium-228, and all those chemicals in it that, you know, they use to explode the shale. And the sand, the silica sand that they use to prop it, the cracks in the shale open. So this water is exactly what they're injecting in the injection wells around our area. The one that they had to shut down, that had a 4.0 earthquake, December 31st, 2011, the DNL injection well. That's produced water, and they have to inject it far, far below the earth because it's so dangerous to our health. And that's what caused the earthquakes, because of the high pressure injection into these wells. So Youngstown is technically the poster child for both injection well earthquakes and their suburb of Poland, Ohio, frack well earthquakes. The hill core wells in the Poland landfill caused earthquakes, albeit 2.0s, 2.2s. And now the hill core wells in Newcastle have been causing earthquakes, frackquakes. So this man-made, seismically induced, you know, action, these earthquakes that start out small and get larger. You can examine this type of seismic behavior in Oklahoma. They just had this past year 900 some earthquakes. So this has got to stop. It's not a method of harvesting any type of, you know, oil product that needs to be used. This is ludicrous. It's not energy independence for the United States, as their propaganda suggests. They burn the natural gas off at the wellhead. They burn it off. And we can't have any more methane going into the atmosphere. This is the most ridiculous thing, you know, for profit for the very few. You know, Koch brothers owns the pipelines and frack chem, and there's certain companies that, you know, are fracking, and there's certain resources they're taking from people, the common, you know, resources. So Kasich enabled that with the passage of State Bill 133. It said any parklands in Ohio, fair game for fracking. We can get the resource.
And we're seeing significant property damage sometimes from these earthquakes too, correct?
Oh yeah, property damage and pollution, you know, spills. We have reports, the most recent reports from the ODNR on the 4 frack wells that you hear nothing about and they aren't covered. I mean, who has heard any reports from the ODNR on the 4 working frack wells in our protected drinking water area of the Meander Reservoir protected watershed? Well, there's spills. There's been spills, spill after spill. And it'll tell you how many barrels were spilled and how they had to get the vacuum trucks out there to suck it up. And it's ridiculous. So we know, we have the public record revealed from September 12, 2013, that the Cadle well on Blott Road in North Jackson split. It had a casing split, a split in its protective casing when it was drilled. And Halliburton came up from Texas to cement that shut. This is in our watershed. And what else did Halliburton cement shut? The Deep Horizon oil well in the Gulf of Mexico. And that cement failure caused the biggest oil spill in the history of mankind.
Okay, so we're looking at some pretty serious ramifications here, possibly.
Yep.
Okay. We are at our limit for this video. We'll continue with this in the next video.
Thank you.